Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. As a background for our period this morning, I'm reading from Meditations of the Heart. Teach me the patience of unanswered prayer is a line of the familiar hymn. It opens up before the mind the wide intensity of unfulfilled hopes, broken dreams, and anguished denials. Who is there that has not carried at a central place in his concerns the persistent hunger, sometimes dull and quiet, sometimes feverish and angry, for something that has not come to pass? The hunger moves in the background of all the days like the rumble of distant thunder or the far-off roar of the sea. Sometimes it is so close that all of life seems summarized in its urgency and its denial. The general overtones of anguish created by the unfulfilled need often send the soul searching for some clue, some key to unlock the door of the treasure house. All sorts of things are tried. Often there is the searching of one's own way of life to see if in the intricacies of the personal behavior pattern may not stand revealed the reason for the unmet need. Often there is a subtle intimation of some weakness in the character that takes no overt form, but turns up as limitations in understanding or blind spots in perception. Often there is the sure knowledge that one has been hurt, crippled by the actions of others, and no care was exercised in the healing process, with the result that growth was out of line and twisted. But despite all of the meaning of all of the possible clues, the persistent hunger works away deep within. It remains unfulfilled and unmet. Slowly it may dawn upon the spirit that there is a special ministry of unfulfillment. It may be that the persistent hunger is an angel of light carrying out a particular assignment in life. With the coming of this possibility into consideration, slowly tensions are relaxed and the center of emphasis is shifted from the hunger itself to what it is meant to deal with the hunger through all the years. Slowly at first, the words are shaped and the pattern of them shows itself. At last, a man may say, I know now that there is present in my life a quality that is only mine because the hunger is mine. Thus, at last, I come to the door and seek entrance where is gathered the great community, and I know the password. Teach me the patience of unanswered prayer. What do you do with the frustrations of your own life? Or how do you manage to reduce the frustrations of your life to manageable units so that they will become to you something that makes an important and significant contribution to the meaning and the strength of your life, rather than something that corrodes and disintegrates and finally corrupts the whole structure of your being? One of the simple suggestions in this regard is we must accept life. That is, we must accept life in general first as a living experience in which we are involved until we die. There is no option with reference to this fact. Here we are, here we must remain until the end of our days. Therefore, we must learn how to negotiate meaningfully the interval that exists between the time where we are functioning now and the length and breadth of the rest of our days. This is obvious. But the second thing is perhaps a little more difficult because it involves more discipline of the mind and the spirit. We must accept ourselves. Now, it is true, as Abraham Lincoln suggested long ago, that God, with reference to himself, that is, he said God could have made a better-looking man. He could have made a man with more gifts and more talents and more power, but he didn't do it. He is stuck with himself, and he has no choice but to live with himself for the rest of his days. We must accept our fact. That's the important thing about accepting oneself. Now, our fact is different from our neighbor's fact. And if we spend our time and our energy in wishing and longing and drooling, as it were, over our neighbor's fact, this means that we will permit all kinds of negative things, all kinds of things which are destructive to our life, to establish squatters' rights over our life while we are absent trying to find some other person's life and appropriate that life and bring it into our own. This we cannot do. The old adage that the fields in the distance are always greener than our own is relevant to the idea that I have here. We must accept our fact. This means that we must look at ourselves, take into total account what we are, the good points, the bad points, the things in us that we love and the things in us that we despise. All of this is ourselves, and we cannot do anything with the problems of our own lives, with the frustrations of our own lives, or even with the living of our own life, until this basic thing is done. We must give to our fact the nerve center of our consent. Now, this means that we will not call the good things in us bad, or the bad things in us good. We will be realistic with reference to our inward parts. I remember many years ago when I was in India, a young Indian friend and I were walking along the shores of a river in Allahabad. The river was the Jumna River. We noticed in the distance a tall, holy man. His body was covered with white holy ash. His hair was long and matted. He was unclothed except a loincloth around his waist. But this was not the attractive thing about him. The attractive thing was the fact that he was leading along with him a lion. This lion walked beside him as a big dog, and then he stopped. The lion squatted on his haunches, and the holy man delivered a little speech. I stood with my friend at a respectful distance while my friend translated, and this is what the holy man said. "Behold this lion. I found him in the foothills of the Himalayas some time ago. I've lived with him, he's lived with me. I have taught this lion how to restrain all of the unrestrained animal impulses of his nature, so that now he is as gentle as a dog. Even a little child may come up and pull him on the mane without any bodily harm." And then he stopped. and his eyes literally crawled on the faces of all the people who stood in the semicircle around him. And then he said, "You go and do likewise with all of the unrestrained animal impulses of your own nature." This is what is meant by the discipline of the self that grows out of the acceptance of the fact which is you, or the fact which is I. Now, when we do this, then we are able to put at the disposal of the improvements of our lives, the enrichment of our lives, the doing of the creative things with our lives, the full length and breadth and depth of our powers. For if we do not accept ourselves, then this ties up all of the resources of the personality in trying to deal with something which we reject. But if we accept it, then with our understanding of this acceptance, there comes a sense of peace and a sense of tranquility and a sense of power to work at doing all the things that can be done to make us become the kind of human being that we would become. Teach me the patience of an answered prayer. This means teach me the courage to accept myself and to work within the limitations of that, putting all of the resources of my life and the resources of God at the disposal of this great and overwhelming demand. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer.